In the heart of Vatican City, under the solemn gaze of thousands, a Swiss guard lowered his pike and stumbled. Gasps rippled through the crowd as time seemed to freeze. How could such a public falter bear the weight of centuries-old tradition? But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. Let's rewind to uncover the truth. St. Peter's Square, often revered as the epicenter of spiritual gravitas and historical grandeur, radiated beneath the luminescent morning sun. The golden light cast intricate patterns across the sea of assembled faithful and dignitaries, each edge of the square teeming with anticipation. The air buzzed with the murmured reverence of a gathering that seamlessly blended the dignified past with the vibrant present. Each attendee, conscious of the ritualistic heartbeats of Vatican tradition, stood alert and reverent, their expectations heightened by the occasion's solemnity. Among the disciplined ranks of the Swiss Guard, clad in their iconic harlequin-patterned uniforms, stood Tom Jenkins. He was a figure of stalwart strength and ceremonial pride, embodying the centuries-old honor that his role demanded. To the onlookers, he was a living testament to the quiet valor of service, his every movement intended to reflect a legacy much greater than himself. Yet, hidden beneath the polished exterior of his ceremonial armor, Tom wrestled with an unsought familiar, a creeping anxiety that slithered into his consciousness when faced with eyes of the world. The ceremony commenced with its expected grandeur, a chorus of harmonized hymns soaring through the square, mingling with the stillness of history and faith. It was a majestic symphony of sounds and silence, a blend of divinity that held the crowd captive. However, at the heart of this harmony was Tom, whose well-coiled nerves simmered perilously close to unraveling. Each note of the choir, each reverberation of ancient bell, seemed to amplify the daunting reality of his task, magnifying the weight of expectations hung invisibly upon him. As the sequence of choreographed ceremony unfolded, fate decided to play its unexpected card. Tom took a step as prescribed by duty, but the smooth cobblestones underfoot whispered treachery. The leather of his shoes momentarily lost their grip. Time fractured into painfully slow shards, every gasp from the crowd echoing painfully in his ears, every heartbeat thunderous against the silence that followed his stumble. In that unfolding space of seconds, a narrative constructed itself rapidly in the minds of watchers, a tableau of public vulnerability, relatable and raw. It transcended the borders of the square, reaching into the collective human experience of fear, of knowing eyes upon one's faltering steps. Tom's mishap was not merely a disruption in a sacred ritual, but a mirror reflecting the intrinsic fear of failure that dwells within every heart. What followed was the poignant pause before the hushed collective, witnessing the internal battle of a young man tasked with embodying honor while grappling with his own moment of public fallibility. His mistake was pure and profoundly human, a testament both to the frailty of the human spirit and to its unyielding resolve. And so, in that heart-stopping moment of vulnerability, Tom Jenkins connected deeply with all who observed, a living parable of grace under pressure, where the essence of human frailty and courage danced intimately beneath the Vatican sun. Murmurs rippled through the gathered crowd like an unsettling breeze, a dissonance that sharply contrasted with the solemnity that had dominated the Vatican ceremony just moments before. Tom Jenkins, a member of the elite Swiss Guard, stood frozen, his heart pounding furiously in his chest. The world seemed to narrow around him, narrowing to the pinpoint spotlight of his internal turmoil. Here he was, not just an individual faced with a public misstep, but a symbol of tradition and honor in front of countless watchful eyes. To his dismay, his dreaded scenario had materialized, turning his moment of pride into a tableau of personal embarrassment. Back home, in his small Illinois town, Tom was the embodiment of reliability. Teachers, neighbors, and friends alike commended him for his unwavering determination and the stoic way he met and often exceeded expectations. He had carried that same sense of duty and steadfastness across the ocean, through vigorous training, and into the esteemed ranks of the Vatican's Swiss Guard. This role, both a prestigious responsibility and a symbol of his achievements, now felt like a burdensome crown, heavy with the weight of tradition and expectation. His mind flickered back to tales of his father, a firefighter, regarded as the rock of their family and community. Tom had always aspired to mirror that same steadfastness, to carry a legacy of reliability. But at that moment, standing in St. Peter's Square, he felt the crushing isolation of a moment gone awry. As his core tachycardia amplified, Tom braced himself against the tide of self-recrimination that threatened to engulf him. His stumble had not only echoed in the square, but had been captured by the cameras broadcasting live to the world. What had seemed to him like a colossal fracture in his facade of competence was now public property, subject to the scrutiny of countless viewers with varied opinions, some perhaps sympathetic, others not so kind. Yet as judgment flitted across his thoughts, he heard fragments of voices, not of scorn or disdain, but soft murmurs of understanding and empathy from the crowd. An unexpected warmth diffused through the audience, akin to the sun breaking through a cover of clouds, a growing awareness of the burden he bore. Whispered among them were tales of Tom's reputation back home, painting a picture of his dedication and the pressures he faced in his relentless pursuit of excellence. It was a universally familiar script. A young man striving to balance personal expectations with external duties, struggling not to falter under the weight of his dreams and responsibilities. His vulnerability had inadvertently laid bare a human truth that resonated with many. Each person in their way had faced a similar crossroad where personal ambitions clashed with the potential for failure. Such shared experiences transformed the crowd's initial shock into a collective binding of compassionate solidarity. Through the lens of their own struggles with adversity and resilience, people extended a silent camaraderie to Tom. They saw not simply a guard who had stumbled, but a human, grappling with his journey in the spotlight of a revered tradition. It became a moment of reflective introspection, a testament to the universal narrative of rising after a fall. While Tom breathed through the throes of panic, the crowd's swelling compassion buoyed him, a steady undertow that promised a sense of shared humanity and understanding. In this collective acknowledgement, Tom Jenkins's stumble became less about failure and more about the grace in grappling with one's fears, a powerful testament to resilience, both his own and within the human spirit at large. Tom stood frozen for a heartbeat, the world around him temporarily muted by his internal turmoil. The stumble felt monumental, as though each eye in St. Peter's Square lingered on the falter, dissecting it, magnifying it. However, deep within the chaos of his mind, a simmering core of resolve began to awaken. Tom had always prided himself on his ability to tackle adversity head-on, a trait honed during countless hours of training and personal reflection. With an almost audible shift, he drew a deep breath, letting it fill his chest and expand his resolve. He straightened his tall, ceremonial frame, adjusting the grip on his halberd with deliberate care. A ripple of quiet admiration began to shimmer through the crowd as his fellow guards took silent cues from his renewed poise. A palpable silence blanketed the square, a collective holding of breath as observers transitioned from witnessing a stumble to watching a lesson in resilience unfold. The profound quiet seemed to imbue the square with an ethereal quality. Tom's newly gathered determination became the focal point, eclipsing the previous mishap. His movements became purposeful, each step infused with a newfound dignity. In the face of public embarrassment, Tom transformed the narrative from one of error to one of redemption, a subtle but powerful testament to human grace. This public metamorphosis, a momentary exposure of raw vulnerability leading to triumphant recalibration, did more than just save face. It inspired. Those lining the perimeter of the square shifted from being mere spectators to participants in a silent but profound narrative of fortitude. Tom's recovery was not just a personal milestone. It was a shared catharsis that drew in every onlooker, their empathy coalescing with their respect. As Tom resumed his duties, the ripple of admiration he had unwittingly set into motion began to cement itself into the foundation of collective memory. The stumble was now overshadowed by his dignified reaction, and with it came an unintentional lesson. The ability to rise gracefully from a mishap became the conversation, a subtle reminder of the virtues of perseverance and composure. In that historic square, amidst the grand architecture and the storied history of the Vatican, Tom's small stutter and subsequent recovery erected a monument invisible yet towering. It was a testament to inner strength and composure, reshaping the day's narrative. The lesson resonated deeply with all present, that the true measure of a person is not found in their falter, but in their recovery. Tom's grace under pressure was not just an act of personal redemption, it was a beacon, illuminating the path of resilience for all who witnessed it. As the Vatican ceremony wound down, the grandeur of the event mixed with an unexpected undercurrent of human resilience. The historical weight of St. Peter's Square bore witness to countless ceremonies over the centuries. But on this day, it became the stage for a new kind of triumph. When the formalities of the occasion reached their conclusion, applause burst forth from the gathered crowd. This applause, however, was not directed at the ceremony's traditional pomp and circumstance, but rather at a single Swiss guard, Tom Jenkins, whose quiet act of courage had captured the hearts of those around him. Tom's stumble was a moment frozen in time, an instant where the barrier between perfection and humanity fell away, revealing the raw authenticity we often hide. With each step he took afterward, Tom wove a different story into the fabric of the day, one that was less about regalia and more about resilience. As he stood firm, regaining his poise, the applause was not just a sound, but a powerful collective acknowledgement of his personal victory. This was no longer just a ceremony. It was a testament to the human spirit's ability to rise above embarrassment and fear. Social media quickly became a conduit for Tom's story, circulating images and videos that highlighted his remarkable recovery. Across the globe, people watched, shared, and commented, drawn to the embodiment of strength in vulnerability that Tom represented. He was not just a guard on duty at a high-profile event. Tom had become a beacon of inspiration. The sight of him recovering with dignity in front of such an audience was a reminder that life's value often lies in how we handle setbacks rather than in our ability to avoid them altogether. News outlets picked up the story, humanizing the Swiss guard in a way rarely seen before. Tom was lauded, not for his stumble, but for the resilience that followed. This tribute resonated widely, appealing to anyone who had ever faced their own moments of doubt and fear. His actions became a universal symbol of triumph over adversity, translating across cultures and languages. Tom's stumble, rather than marking a misstep, set the course for a narrative rich in grace, one that inspired people worldwide to see vulnerability as strength. In the aftermath of the ceremony, letters and messages poured in from strangers across continents, each recounting their own stories of perseverance, all connected by his singular moment of courage. Tom's unexpected journey from uncertainty to standing ovation had not only reshaped his own identity, but it also left an indelible mark on audiences everywhere, a reminder that true valor often shines brightest when it emerges from our deepest vulnerabilities.